What a story, huh? The resurrection story is an amazing story. As many times as you read it or you hear it, it's so unbelievable. Have you ever thought when you read John chapter 20, there's this sense of fear that the disciples had. A sense of fear. They were afraid of those Jewish leaders who came to, who actually just killed their Lord and their Master. They thought there would be a political upheaval. This is when Rome is going to be cast out and Jesus' empire is going to reign in. This is high expectation among all these disciples. And as many times as Jesus told them, hey, you know what? I will be taken, I will be tortured, I will be killed, but on the third day I will rise again. It made no sense to them. It was a different paradigm altogether. They couldn't understand what he was saying. And so the reality of it struck, at least portion of it struck, only when he died. And how often have you heard this resurrection story where they come in, the ladies first come and they see the stone rolled away. When they see the stone rolled away, they're like, what in the world? They don't see the body there. Right? And then Mary Magdalene rushes back and tells the disciples, hey, you know what? Nobody's there. Nobody's there. And she said it because she was worried. Because if you read the other accounts, they go and tell, hey, if you have taken Jesus, thinking that he was a gardener, if you have taken Jesus, please let us know. We wanted his body. Do you see any belief among the disciples that Jesus was risen? Nothing at all. And you know why? Because they knew once a person died, no one ever rose again. Whoever tells you that, you're not going to believe that. Right? You're just not going to believe that. Hundreds of people they would have seen dying in their life. It was not like today, where you have medicines available. If someone is sick, you go treat yourself, you're up. No, people used to die. People used to die. But nobody had risen from the dead like Jesus said he would. And so when Jesus died, the world collapsed, everything ended. Whose mobile phone is on? Can you all just switch it off because I can hear the buzz coming out of the speakers. Yeah. Or you could just cut off the, could you just cut off the, it's off? Okay. I think it's good. So, it was that paradigm that once dead, no one comes alive. And they were frustrated. They left their nets, they left their boats, they left everything and came to follow Jesus. But here, the Jesus is gone. They fear that eclipsed them. And then from the story, Jesus came again and proved himself. And then yet you have a Thomas who doubts. And who says, no, unless I see his hand and his side, so I'm not going to believe this. How difficult it was to convince his own disciples, right? The problem of an Easter Sunday morning is the same problem of unbelief, even today. Unbelief is the problem of the resurrection story, and it was not just that day, it's the problem of today too. The resurrection is central to the Christian belief. We state that Jesus rose again from the dead. Death has no reign over him. Death doesn't control him anymore. It's so central to our faith. But do you really believe it? Is it a theoretical yes, I believe that Jesus rose from the dead? Or is there a functional yes to it? Let me ask this question another way. What difference does it make? Tomorrow, how is your day going to look different? Because you're saying Jesus rose from the dead. How is it any different? What if in that story Jesus never rose again? Is there any difference in the way you're going to live? For some of you, maybe there is going to be a big difference. But I'm telling you from my own confession, from my own life, I often caught myself asking this question, Vivek, how is your life any different because Jesus rose from the dead? How is it any different? There's a lot of theoretical answers I'm afraid we know and we affirm, but hey, who are we fooling? Who are we fooling? Who am I fooling? Who am I? My friends, the resurrection of Jesus has the power to transform your life today and every day of your life, and it has the power of transforming the world. That's how powerful the Jesus resurrection story is. Are you seeing it that way? You remember the book of 1 Corinthians? The church at Corinth was a very immature church. Lots of fighting, sons sleeping with stepmom. I mean, it was a messed up church. People taking each other to the court, and when they gathered together, they were so selfish. When they were having the bread and the wine as part of the meal, some people were like, I'm so hungry, man, I'm just going to eat. And he ate a lot of food. A lot of people are standing in line like we have over here, and sometimes people miss out on the food. We have that very often over here too. Yeah, are we cool? And that's what's happening, you know. And then they're like, some guys come in and like, oh dude, there's no food out here. And some guys drank wine, which was meant to celebrate the Lord's death. Some guys drank it to the point they were drunk. They're like not just thirsty, they're like, let's have a good time, man. And they drank it up. Right? An immature church. Till chapter 14, he was dealing with the immaturity of the church. And then starts chapter 15, where he says, let me remind you that which is of first importance. That Christ died, that he was buried, and then he rose again. And chapter 15, he deals with the main problem of the Corinthian church. They didn't believe in a functional way of the resurrection of Jesus. For some reason they were like, maybe Jesus came back, I don't know. And Paul attributes all their problems, which was sin, to one thing: their misconception of the functional idea of the resurrection of Jesus. My friends, this is a game changer. In chapter 15 of 1 Corinthians, Paul says, if Christ had not risen from the dead, our faith is futile. Everything is hinging on that one thing, the resurrection of Jesus. Is everything hinging for you today on that one truth, that Jesus rose from the dead? The resurrection has the power to transform your life, turn it around every day. It's not one idea to transform you for the week, but every day of the week you're going like, yes, because Jesus is risen. Because Jesus is risen, my life can change today. And it has the power to transform the world. So let's just quickly look at some things of what this resurrection of Jesus does. Okay? It gives the hope of new life. Hope of new life. So the resurrection of Jesus now brings about two things for your life. Okay? One is it gives the hope of new life. Hope of new life. There are so many things in this world that cannot change. You can never choose who your dad should be. You can never choose who your mom is. You cannot change your skin color. I know Michael Jackson did it. But typically, you can't change your skin color. You can't change your blood group. You know, how many of you are O positive? Couple of y'all? Yeah, some of us are, straight from the bloodline of Jesus. Yeah. O positive. They're very positive. Some are like really B negative. Anyone B negative? You can never change that. Oh, I have had at least 2 kids in my school when we had something, some medical thing going on, and they used to ask, okay, what are your blood groups? And we had to stand up and say a blood group. B negative would be always all over. B negative. You can never change it. These guys would dread getting up on that day and saying they're B negative. Yeah? And we are like, oh, so positive. Yeah? But you can't change your blood group. You can't change your blood type. There's so many things in life you can't change. Some things you can change. You can change your job. You can change your clothes.